On to the big discussion this Sunday, and we're focusing on the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, where Sergeant Thabo Mosia will be back on the stand tomorrow at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. The police's crime scene investigation came under the spotlight this past week. Mosia told the court that he did not swab for DNA on the door of the bedroom which Meyiwa's friend Mpumelelo Zikalala ran into after the shooting. He also told the court that no gun residue test was done on those in the house during the shooting or afterwards. Let's break this down now. We've got reporter Moloko Moloto, who's been on the story, legal expert Mpumelelo Zikalala joining us via Zoom, and forensic expert Calvin Rafadi. But before we get into the discussion, let's just take a look back at the story that Moloko put together on Friday.
On Thursday, Sergeant Thabo Mosia told the court he did not swab the kitchen door for touch DNA analysis. This is the same door used by the alleged two intruders for entry and exit from the Mpumelelo house. And on Friday, Mosia made another revelation.
The reason why I'm concerned about the bedroom where you did not take swabs is because there is evidence before this court that Mpumelelo Zikalala, after the gunshot went off, he ran into that bedroom where you did not take swabs.
My investigations are actually directed towards the perpetrators more than the victims.
So it did not occur to you that the witnesses might be suspects?
It didn't.
As cross-examination continued, the state objected to Mpumelo's question regarding where in the kitchen was Meyiwa standing during the shooting.
The witness is now being asked questions outside his expertise and is expected to speculate. We submit, my lord, that that is an unfair question to the witness. He is not a ballistic expert.
Yes, Mr. Nana.
My daughter will withdraw that question because Mangena is still coming.
Hello?
Mangena is still coming. I'll withdraw that question.
But after this, Mpumelelo upped the ante, prompting another objection by the state, with the judge also entering the fray.
Warrant officer, two police officers arrived in the evening of the 26th of October 2014. They did, according to Matebola, that is Sergeant Matebola, he did a diligent search in the kitchen. There was no bullet that was found. He did not only look with his naked eyes, he also moved the items in the kitchen.
I don't think there is my understanding, and I think the word diligent is
there's no evidence like that. I listen to the evidence.
He said he just merely looked with his naked eyes.
I can even quote you what that gentleman said.
My understanding, my daughter, was that he searched. He did.
Am I quoting him correctly? You take a pegenji. That's Zulu. Don't you remember that expression? And then I did this.
After the record was played back, the judge was still not convinced by Mpumelo's argument. The trial was adjourned to Monday for Mosia's further cross-examination by another defense lawyer, Advocate Zandile Mshololo. Moloko Moloto, Pretoria.
Let's continue on with that discussion now. Moloko Moloto, legal expert Mpumelelo Zikalala and a forensic expert Calvin Rafadi. And I'm going to start with you, Moloko, because you get the pleasure, if you will, for lack of a better term, to be in those court proceedings on a daily basis. So you've got a great sense of the tensions and the various nuances, spoken or unspoken, that are shared between those that are involved in this case. Just break down the important details that came out of this week when it came to those that were giving evidence.
Good afternoon, Kalatsiro. Well, we know that as South Africans, we are looking for the truth, and the court is also looking for the truth. And up to so far, we are still in the dark. We don't know who killed Senzo Meyiwa. And of course, there would be those who were in the house on the day Senzo Meyiwa was killed. They are giving their version. And also, importantly, the police who are investigating this matter, they are very central. Because those who arrived at the crime scene, the first police officers, 2 of them were the constables and the other 2 were trainee constables, 4 of them in total. When they arrived at the scene after they received a call, they arrived to find that those who were with Senzo when he was shot had already left for the hospital. And they were welcomed by one Mr. Themba Khumalo, who is the uncle of Kelly Khumalo, who said, "I've got the key. I've just been told to come here. I don't know what transpired." What do, these police officers? They decide to say, "Open for us." They just take a look. They do nothing much. And then they say, "Okay, lock the key, Mr. Khumalo. We are leaving for the hospital." And they leave the scene unattended, unsecured. This is a crime scene. They had already been told that there was a shooting incident. They come back later with Khumalo, the mother of the Khumalo sisters. And that's when they start to cordon off the crime scene. Now, they don't do much, of course. They are really just there to secure the crime scene. Then one officer is called, Mr. Thabo Mosia. He describes himself as a crime scene attendant. Essentially, he's the first police officer who will be doing some forensic work in terms of identifying exhibits, taking photographs and all that, also swabbing the door handles and the doors so that at least there can be a DNA analysis. He told the court that he was actually called to the crime scene 4 hours after the incident had happened. In his words, through a sworn statement and during cross-examination by one of the defense lawyers, he admits that that particular crime scene, because it took so long for him to be called, could or might have been compromised. And we have heard the defense lawyer saying that we know that there were people, neighbors in particular, one name of Maggie Pirin being mentioned in court, that she insisted on cleaning the house. And she was even asked to say, why are you doing that? And according to the evidence that emerged in court, she said, "I don't want those police, when they come back from the hospital, to find that the people who were in the house were drinking alcohol." So in a nutshell, the work of the police really came under question in court, both from the defense lawyers, but also we had the presiding officer, Judge Ratamo Khwahleng, when he was asking one of the eyewitnesses, a friend of Senzo Meyiwa, Mpumelelo Zikalala, to say, because you were in that small space when the first gunshot went off, did the police come to take your clothes, for instance, to do a gunpowder residue test? He said no. And in the words of the judge, a competent police officer should have done that.
Yeah, Mpumelelo, I'm going to bring you in at this point because some very important points that Moloko breaks down for us there. And I wonder, as a legal expert or a legal representative looking at the evidence that has been supposedly gathered by these officers at the time, does it have a legal leg to stand on as it stands, given how it's been torn apart over the last week, as we've seen?
It has very serious and direct consequences. Now, let's take a step back to assess why you are doing this. The state has a legal duty to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused that are in the box are indeed the ones that perpetrated the crime. In order for them to be able to do that, they will need evidence from the witnesses that were in the house, and they're going to need also expert evidence which are going to come in and say, we came in as the police, we applied the process of elimination. We started with these individuals. It doesn't point to them because we do not know what actually happened on that day. And our independent analysis or independent investigations are pointing towards this direction. Now, there's no other principal story or sequence of events that can be followed other than the one that we're going to produce. Now, from the side of the defense, their only job, which is not to prove their innocence, is simply to say, we can be able to provide other possibilities that could have taken place on the day in which the state, through their investigations and through the witnesses that came to present evidence, have failed to deal with or to eliminate in that particular process. So on that basis, Judge, you have the duty of only finding people who are guilty if it's going to be proved beyond reasonable doubt that indeed the one that perpetrated the crime. In this case, there is reasonable doubt that appears time and again, and it's not due to the people that are sitting in the accused box. It's due to the manner in which the evidence or the investigations were undertaken by expert police individuals, by the way. And secondly, in the manner in which the witnesses that have been identified by the state and called upon to present as witnesses in this case have performed or have relayed the information as to what happened on that day.
I want to bring you in as well, Calvin. I mean, you are a forensic investigator, and part of your role in this space is the collection of intelligence. Okay, let's just, I'm going to interrupt this discussion. Actually, we've just been told that President Cyril Ramaphosa is about to speak at the United Democratic Front celebration that is currently underway. Let's take you there before we complete this discussion.